Hear me out.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 2 of Hear Me Out. As we go about it here, guys, this is a great show here. We had this premiere last week. Make sure you guys check it out. It was phenomenal. Whit ended up taking it here on that last question, getting in Jay's head early on. So, I mean, that's just kind of how it goes. But it was great conversations last week and everything else. What is Hear Me Out, guys? Just a reminder here. It's basically like an around horn the style, right? We're gonna give points to these guys as they do it. I'm gonna be the judge here of this. Everybody's gonna get their say. I'll give my opinions as well. Of course, when you hear this sound, it's a point. When you hear this sound, you take it away. And then this is to the next topic here. And this is the final topic, which is our bonus topic of the night. But before we get into it, everybody, please like, subscribe, and follow, as we'll have more stuff coming out. We'll actually include some guests here very soon into this show here. But guys, we're like I said, we're on the uptick of sports here. The dead period has officially started to diminish, and there's actually stuff to talk about here. And we're ramping back up. So this is a great time to do this here. So anyways, if I have to introduce myself, I'm Tanner of the Sports Buffoons and Let's Talk Sports. Joining me is Jane Witt of Rec Room Sports. And this is Hear Me Out. So, all right, guys, let's, you guys ready? Jay, are you going to take this title over? Like, are we going to get those points in?
I got to get my win. Hey, can you imagine after the night, it could have been 2-0.
It could have been. It should have been. But you got in your head with that Commanders question, like that, basically the Commanders on your Madden ratings, and it kind of cost you in a way, man. It just kind of cost you.
I want everybody to remember, eventually, little brother beat big brother, okay? The Detroit Pistons came out of nowhere one time, all right? Twice, all right? Nobody expected it to happen, so just got to play tough.
Oh, man. All right, guys, let's get into this thing here. So first topic of the night. These guys don't even know what order the topics are. It's the best part. So first topic of the night, guys. I don't know if you're aware of this is going on, but there's a basketball tournament going on here. The FIBA Basketball World Cup 2023 is underway. Or no, actually not underway, but it's about to be underway. And there's some big names on these teams. Antetokounmpo brothers are playing in it. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, RJ Barrett, Kelly Olynyk, I can keep going down the way. Jamal Murray's in here, playing for teams. There's big names out here, that I didn't really expect to see these big names, because normally they kind of sit out, since basketball's off season is kind of a shorter time span than most sports. I mean, it's right up next to hockey there. So I want to know here, as we kind of go about it here, which players are you highlighting into this FIBA World Cup? And I'm also curious, is there a particular country that you think is also favor? Because looking at some of these rosters, I want to pick the US, because they got all the big names, but I mean, you got Greece out there with a loaded roster. You got some other guys out with a loaded rosters. And I'm not even going to try to mention the Chinese guys, but I guarantee you those guys are going to ball. So it's insane to see here. So we'll start with you, man. Give me some players to highlight here that are in this FIBA World Cup, and which team do you think has a potential to win this thing?
All right, man. Well, I guess I win the tip off this time, since I won the first one inaugurally, but it's all good. So I'm gonna go, and of course you gotta go with the stars in Canada, man. So let's talk about, first of all, who cannot mention Shai Gilgeous-Alexander right now? Of course, being one of the main scorers, coming from Oklahoma City, playing for the Clippers at one point in time, being drafted in LA. I was watching Patrick Beverley's podcast. Patrick Beverley said, man, SGA wasn't playing no Grand Theft Auto with them. He might have been watching anime, but he would be in the gym. Okay, so I'm looking out for Canada. But now, in terms of who I'm looking out for the home team, right, I got to talk about my man, B.I., Brandon Ingram. Now, I know it's really odd to talk about Brandon Ingram, because he's coming off of an injury that he suffered November the 25th, when he was playing against a game in Memphis. But if you can think of his comparison all the time, we got to talk about one person and one person only that you can compare him to, and that's Kevin Durant. Oh my God! So if you're thinking about Kevin Durant, if you think about that, what 2010 FIBA team,
Okay.
KD was on a tear. He did like 29 points, two assists, 7.5 rebounds, shooting 45% from three, and KD basically was on the verge of being the MVP that following season in Oklahoma City, and that was a stacked team with him and Russell and James Harden, who all eventually won MVPs. Basically, before the injury, Brandon Ingram was doing 24 and 7. And when I say 7, I mean 7 assists. You know what I'm saying? 5 rebounds. And for him playing that wing position, it's one of the most important positions in basketball right now. I think that it's cool that, at that young age, he's going to be coming back off an injury and he's going to be playing against some of the best in the world. And everybody knows iron sharpens iron. So let's say traveling to the Philippines, traveling to Japan, traveling to the Indonesia, playing with the best coaches in the NBA, playing against some of the best players in the world, not playing with his teammates. I can only imagine it's going to be an eye-opening experience. So when he gets back to, New Orleans and he's got to play with the homie CJ McCollum, he's got to play with Jonas Valanciunas, he's got to play with Jose Alvarado. Everybody knows Grand Theft Alvarado. Everybody remembers that. And then he's also got to hope to have the emergence of Zion Williamson be a thing. And then somebody that a lot of people are looking out for, we got to remember Trey Murphy. Trey Murphy on that bench is a killer low key. So if he can come off of his FIBA playing, and then just like most players when they play with FIBA at that young age, their points increase, the basketball IQ increases, so that also means assists increase. I'm looking for Brandon Ingram to maybe take a step up, especially if Zion incurs another one of those injuries. So I'm looking for him to be in that 24, 25 point range. Maybe, and of course, he got to share the ball when he's playing FIBA. He's going to be playing with other stars. So he's only going to take 9, 10 shots, 20 points, 17 points, 18. That's decent. But then, of course, when you get into the regular season in the NBA, he's going to be doing 24, 25, just like he did last year before he injured his toe. And then he's going to have Zion to hopefully help him out on the back end, coming off of his liquid. Zion's on a liquid diet right now. He's only eating smoothies, what I'm saying, and drinking kale and whatnot. I got a source up in Greenville, South Carolina, saying that he's really hard on the carrot juice right now. So big shouts out to Zion and the New Orleans Pelicans, man. So my answer for the first question of the night is my guy, B.I., a.k.a. Kevin Durant, 0.5, Brandon Ingram.
Is the U.S. then your team to potentially win it then too?
The idea is the U.S. has a stacked team of really young players, but Canada has the players who have the most experience. Like the Canadian team is crazy, to be honest, but it's a 50-50 chance that they also run into a team like Spain who's going to put out players that we've seen and heard of, but maybe only played a year or two in the NBA. And we can't forget about Luka. I literally today I seen the Luka training video, and he's like 6'9", 260 any other time. He's looking like 235, 240.
Yes, he's a lot thinner.
And the video is him jogging at a really brisk pace, stopping and getting his cardio in. So it's a toss up, man. If it's not America, or if it's not in the northern, if it's not North American, like Canada or USA, you got to look out for one of those teams for Europe always.
I like it. Jay, what do you got?
When it comes to international play, I look at a lot of things. One, sort of kudos to the United States or the NBA for kind of giving us I would say sort of like a B team of what's out there. It's sort of competitive. I'm looking at this Canadian team as well, with all the stars that they have, but two teams that sort of we forget about seems like every go around. One is the Australian team. We got Xavier Cooks from Washington Wizards. We got Patty Mills, who's now Atlanta Hawk. We got
Josh Giddey.
a couple of guys, Josh Green. Uh, uh, you said Giddy?
Giddey.
Who'd you? Yep. You got Dyson Daniels. A couple of fellas. We got Thibault. So not necessarily. And also Exum. So
Yep.
not necessarily like a big team, a team. When you're looking at the French team, you definitely know they have size. You know what I'm saying? So it's the French team also is a team that you got to look at as dangerous on top of the Canadian team. I'm not saying that the U.S. team is not going to win due to the fact that it's not as skilled as the team that we normally send to international play. I'm looking at maybe uh, also the Canadian team. But the things about the Canadian team that stick out to me is the fact that we have a lot of guys who are not necessarily the star on their team, either the star on their team or the second star on their team. So if you look at teams or teams that usually come out, the roster usually somebody always comes off that roster going into international play on a hot start. Like you mentioned something about Kevin Durant, with Brandon Ingram. As far as that point, Brandon Ingram's missed 64 games in the past 2 seasons. I'm kind of like looking more towards what is Zion bringing to the table as far as the Pelicans with them going into the season. But when I'm looking at somebody in particular that is going into the season at a good start, is got to be Luka. He's already out there putting the time in. He's out there. I want to say he lost a good amount of weight. He's doing this a whole new physical regimen. So it's like you got to look at the Dallas Mavericks and what they put on the court. As far as offensive efficiency, they were sitting at like fifth, I think, in the league.
Yep.
And they really couldn't get it together. So can you imagine a whole offseason of playing with the best? As far as the team in FIBA, I also point, to the Canadian team. But as far as a player that I'm looking at to come off to a good start off of the international play, gotta be Luka. Gotta be Luka. The Canadian team, you got Murray, you got Jalen Brunson, you got Barrett, you got. All of those guys. Can you imagine if each one of those guys like got off to a good start with their teams going on into the NBA season?
Right.
So I look at the most dangerous as the Canadians, but I look at Luke as individually as a player that's gonna take advantage of the international play, the workout regimen, and basically playing with the best all summer. But yeah, but the team wise got to be the Canadians. Like I said, I'm always looking at the French, also the Australians. But I'm not gonna say USA is gonna take this because I don't really think they're gonna take this off of athleticism. Yeah, but players that play long for a long period of time together, you got to look at the Australians. They're also the French. Can you imagine like these kids are like 19, 20. They're already playing with each other for like 6 seasons.
Yeah.
Like and they what I'm saying? So when they get into their 30s, these dudes have been playing with each other since they was kids. So same you can say with the US squad. Some of these guys play AAU ball, but I would say as far as the chemistry, international play, any international team has a far advantage because of it's a tight knit. It's not like it's like hundreds and hundreds of guys in a country, and it's just talent everywhere. These are like probably these guys seeing each other everywhere they go. You know what I mean? So, yeah, as far as the team, definitely, I'm looking at the Canadian team as well.
I
Like
think
I said, player
Luka,
sorry.
right? Yeah.
Right.
And I think the Canadians are it should be the favorite team, right? Because they are the most stacked. USA, not so much. I hate to break it to you, but not so much, especially with such a young squad going, having to play against these overseas guys, like you said. My I had two teams I'm watching. Of course, it's Lucas, Slovenia right there. I mean, those guys, they've always been in it for these FIBA World Cups. And then Greece, Giannis and his bros and all those guys, like that's still dominance down there. And you're in their court essentially when you're playing.
Team Antetokounmpo, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's what it is. So like, because they got 4 brothers on it for this team here.
Crazy.
So and I mean, when you have that kind of connection and you have the dominance, and we'll see how healthy Giannis is going into this too, which is kind of nice to see. But I think I agree here. I think the Canadians are favorite to do it. I think Greece actually pulls it out because I think Giannis is on ready to let out some frustrations from his injury of the first round there. But Luka's gonna dominate some team that should never be dominated ever. And it's just going to be what he did, a couple years ago against the Suns. It's just going to be Luka and people around him, and it's just going to be a blow up. And he's going to embarrass somebody. I don't know who, but he's going to embarrass somebody.
Listen, man. Well, you gotta ask Jay Sheen what it's like to have like a 6'5", 6'6", 6'7" man bump into you for like 45 minutes. Okay, I'm sure it's not the best thing. So I agree with you on the Luka point right there.
Yeah, he's gonna embarrass somebody. All right, next topic. I love it, man. We got NBA, man. We got a bunch of topics here. I'm so happy for it all. Let's talk a little MLB. 2024 MLB.
We got baseball tonight.
We got baseball tonight. Look at this. Look, man. The unofficial the Hall of Fame ballots came out finally and everything. Fred McGriff. I think Fred McGriff and Rollins are officially in. I think they made it. I believe that's what I saw. But like, guys, what with this? I'm not even getting the right list here. What the world is this?
I got a question. I wanted some clarity because
Scott Rowland.
We talking about potential candidates.
We are the early look of the 2024. Yeah, early look of the 2024 Hall of Fame ballot in this play here. So Scott Rowland and Helton are in it.
Jay was on this one. I was like, man. He got me.
Billy Wagner. I mean, look at this. Like Billy Wagner, Andrew Jones. I'm just going down some of the list here. Adrian Beltre for his potential first ballot there. I mean, that's a guy right there. Joe Mauer, Chase Utley. Those are just a small list. I know Fred McGriff's in here as well. David Wright, Matt Holliday, Carlos Beltran. Back in it, Bartolo, Gary Sheffield's last chance. I mean, guys, like I just named a bunch there, but like, what are you seeing here for potential Hall of Fame? Who gets it? Who gets the nod?
Hey, look, I'm gonna mention, Barry Bonds quickly. I'm gonna, every year, like, and it's not necessarily, that's not my answer though. The whole thing is we always got to go through these conversations now when we talk about the Schillings, the Bonds, the McGuires, the Sosas, the Palmeiros. I did not. You know what I mean? So it's like, hey man, even when he was up there, in Congress, it's like, dude, I hope you're not lying because you ain't never getting in. You never getting in, right? 500 plus home runs and all, Mr. Palmeiro. But what I can say about Mr. Palmeiro is that at first base, he will probably be the best non-Hall of Famer, the best person to probably not make the Hall of Fame. Now, Adrian Beltre, oh my gosh, like the Gold Gloves, he at least has 4. You have so many names. I want to say Billy Wagner. Now you got Bautista on the list. Now you're gonna have Bautista on the list. You got Matt Holliday. You got Victor Martinez. You got Joe Mauer. So I'm just gonna go to it. And also Chase Utley. But when it comes to the Hall of Fame, it's something that I always want. I always think to myself, and does everybody know that, there are gonna be some people that we're gonna be like 70 years old, Lord willing, and we're gonna be looking at somebody. Oh man, I remember when he was playing, and there's always gonna be those guys.
Yep.
So everybody's not gonna get in. There's so many arguments about who's getting in. It's like, have you seen if you're a fan of the sport like me? Have you seen these old guys that's getting wheeled onto the stage? Like, I don't think everybody's gonna be getting in that I can say is one of my favorites. So crazy enough, we have more situations that add on to why people can't get in. We can go with is it Shoeless?
Shoeless Joe?
Yeah.
Yeah, Shoeless Joe. Want to say, how many names can we sit here and call from people who we with even Tanner? Like even one of us can't say what we actually sat there and we actually watched play.
Right.
But they were good. You're right.
Right. So, like I said, when we talk about the shillings, when we talk about, I want to say Billy Wagner, but I got to give it to Andrew Jones. I got to give it to Andrew Jones simply because when it comes to the Hall of Fame, I would want to at least. Yes. Andrew Jones from the Braves is him. Huh?
I just want to make sure it's because he is a Brave. They had to pick him over the Dodger.
I'm sorry. I was trying to like throw everybody else in there, but I'm sorry, man. It has to be Andrew Jones, man. What he put out there in the center field, what he held down with the glove, all the Gold Gloves in center field, as well as what he put on at the plate. It has to be Andrew Jones. I mean, as far as people who some may consider deserving, somebody who has a realistic shot, it's if it's not him, it's Billy Wagner. You could say either they did more than one thing very well, or they did one thing great. And if you say one thing great, you got to go with Billy Wagner. You know what I mean? So, it's Andrew Jones, or 1A is Billy Wagner.
I think,
but so
Carlos Beltran, you got to throw in that list too, man.
Yeah, Beltran. Like I said, you got to look at it like top tier as what they did out there, and then also it's how many people did it like this. You know what I mean? And then it's like, okay, he can wait. This person did it like this. Pretty soon, we're going to be talking about, all these closers, that are going to be getting in. You can look at back in the day, like after Lee Smith got in, you can start saying like Lee Smith, Eck. You can sit there and say, hey, let's bring all these relievers in now. Like this person should get in, this person should get in. So when it comes to relievers, though, these aren't the same hitters that, I'm not going to go as far as like age and time, but, being a reliever and saying that you're getting like 40 closes, 40 saves a season for, a certain amount of seasons, you got to look at somebody like I said, Billy Wagner. Being a closer is not easy. Not easy.
Eric Gagne is the other one I was thinking of. Yeah.
And that. See, that's the crazy thing about Eric Gagne. Yes, but he's probably not going to find him to give him his Hall of Fame, man. Like he's going to, you know what I mean? Like that's the sad part is there's going to be guys that's going to be like, damn, I forgot about him. Just like how you mentioned Gagne. But yeah, my guy, I'll say most deserving. That's why I said I wanted to go on about so many other players. But Andrew Jones.
Okay. Whit, we got. Here we go. We're muted again. We can't hear you. Can't hear you.
God.
There we go.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. All right. So my time starts over. Anyway.
Go for it.
So what I was saying was my brother Jay has a vast Wikipedia amount of knowledge when it comes to baseball.
That's
I love that guy. He's not incorrect about what he said. There are several players in which 10, 20, 30 years from now, we're going to go, man, I remember that first base play, that catch in the outfield, that one time he saved, a home run, and we're gonna go, but we're gonna be forgetting who we're talking about. For me, I kind of narrowed it down just a little bit to a few players, but I'm gonna give you one that I want to get in there. Okay, first of all, let's just throw it out there, right? Chase Utley. When's the last? Like, I felt like during a really strong period in my 2000s of watching ESPN, catching on to baseball. I went to Francis Marion University, where baseball is king. They didn't care about basketball, I swear, but they had a basketball team. Chase Utley was out there doing his thing. Another guy that I considered somewhat at the tops of the sport at the time, that's going in there and representing the foreign squad that whose names ring bells. When we talk about foreign squad, we're talking about Pedro Martinez, Vlad Guerrero, David Ortiz. We're talking about basically who else? Everybody knows Carlos Beltre. Okay, when that name got put on the ballot, I was like, okay, I know who that is. Let me go look and talk about him so I could give him a little props. But he'd be the fifth Brazilian player to be nominated or to be put into the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame, and I think he's deserving of it. Now, Beltre is in that same book as Utley, like Jay mentioned, in my opinion, where we're going to go 5, 10, 15. If they're not, if they're not in there, they're going to slide in eventually. But my pick for me tonight, right, that I'm going to focus on is one guy that I got to see a lot of because y'all know I'm a Yankees fan. And that guy is David Wright. Okay. Talking about the captain for the Mets. Now I know what we're thinking. I know what we're thinking.
What?
I know what we're thinking. I know. It seems a little off. Seems a little off. Seems a little off. But in the case where what I'm talking about, time wise, the how you get into the league, how you come into the league makes more sense. The impact he had on the Mets franchise was bigger than some players, period, who get in there and stay with the franchise 10, 20, 12 years. Now, I know it's short lived, but let's not forget we got a 7-time All Star, 2-time Silver Slugger, 2-time Golden Glove recipient. He hit for 296. 296 is right in there. But he got 242 in the long ball. And back then in the 2000s, chicks dig the long ball, okay? Let's not forget that. And somewhere in there, in the midst of injuries, problems, bad management, bad ownership, he got the Mets to the 2015 NL pennant.
Who they lose to
Can't
the World
forget
Series
that.
to?
Let's not disqualify that, okay?
Wait,
And
who they lose to?
at one point in time, he was everybody's top third baseman. Right? Am I wrong? Am I wrong? He's not.
He was borderline top 5, top 3.
Top 5. I'm telling you. I mean, it was short. I'm saying it's short lived, but you got to let's keep it 1,000. If he had a full career, not due to a degenerative disease, which is spinal stenosis, right? Okay, you would know exactly what I'm talking about here. Now, for me, once again, I got to bring it up because you know why? I clearly remember this because I had a roommate who was a third baseman. Shout out to Richard Hoffman. I think he's like an old man with like 4 or 5 kids right now. Richard Hoffman was the third baseman and played left field for Francis Marion University. I watched the game with him on the phone while we was chilling, where he hit the walk-off home run, got the single in, 9th inning against Mariano Rivera, one of the best closers in the game, because back then, those Subway series were serious, and they meant something. You got the captain and the captain, and Mariano Rivera at the time was one of the most feared closers in the league. On top of that, what did he do? He gets the ball over Johnny Damon. Johnny Damon misses the catch. You got a play that's gonna ring bells for for ages because what? You hit it off of Mariano Rivera. Johnny Damon, who everybody knows who Johnny Damon is, right? Y'all know who Johnny Damon is. He misses the catch, and then he brings in the walk-off single. Come on. I mean, although the career was short-lived and full of injury, you can't blame him. It's not his fault.
So we're going
to
pity party?
He meant something to the franchise. He brought energy to the franchise. He gave people in Queens, New York, something to be happy about. You know what else the people in Queens is happy about? Coming to America. All right. that's what people in Queens. My man Action Bronson. Y'all know about Action Bronson? Everybody in Queens is happy about Action Bronson and Coming to America. But for a little bit, just for a little bit, it had David Wright, and it meant something. So I know everybody's got 15, 20 years career, but that time that David Wright spent with the Mets meant something to the people of New York on the other side who didn't like the Yankees. That's my pick.
Wait, bonus point. Who did the Mets lose to in the 2015 World Series?
Now you ask me questions I wasn't prepared for because I don't remember that. I got head injuries.
No, nothing. Give a guess. Just give a guess.
Don't make me Google it.
Just give don't Google. I want you to just give a guess. No, Jay, for the bonus point. Who did the Mets lose to in 2015?
In 2015. Damn, in 2015?
Yeah, I got head and I got concussions. I don't remember that.
I don't blame you guys at all on this. I really don't.
It's not Houston. Duh, that's too close.
Give up.
Hold on, nah. Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
One that the Mariners?
Nah, don't. The who?
Not the Mariners. What the
Mariners?
The Miami team won one time, a long time ago.
Can I get the point just for him?
No.
Saying the Mariners?
No,
you can't.
No.
Because you didn't even guess. You named like 10 players.
Let me know when you're done.
Oh, I got it. I thought it was the Twins, but it's the Royals, right?
Boom. They had lost the previous year of the World Series to the Giants and Madison Bumgarner, and they beat the Mets in the World Series to
Madison Bumgarner.
So yes, it was the Royals. That's correct. And Jay or Whit, I'm sorry, dude.
When did the Twins win? Because I was
like, what? That was long before that. That wasn't recent.
Was it?
I'll tell you.
I was stuck on. I was like, it's the Twins. But
I just want to point somebody else. Remember that David Wright.
Let me.
1991 Jay. 1991 was their last championship. 4-3 against the Atlanta Braves.
Dang. You know what? I'm tripping. But I don't know why I was thinking Twins, but I said I just took a guess and thought you was a Kansas homer, and I just was like, that's the only answer.
I mean, it was all cued in back here, right? So you just can't quite see the Royal stuff. But no, that's the thing, right? It's the whole David. Like, I get what you're saying about David. I really do, and I'm not saying it's not wrong because he did have that 7 years was amazing for Mets fans, right? And it brought
my thing
greatness.
Is Jay to me made my point. So I let what I got on my notepad that I had in my head. Jay pretty much said it. That's why that's my pick, because he said 10, 20, 30 years, like somewhere in there that David Wright is not going to, in my opinion, is not going to be a first ballot Hall of Fame.
No,
but
no.
10 years from now, we're going to think about that run. And it was a great run.
It was.
He really had two solid, strong injuries. By year 5 or 6, they didn't realize that he had spinal stenosis. But the point is, he was still going out there and putting on a show at third base. He couldn't hit when the diagnosis was happening, but he could still catch and make plays between the shortstop, third, and first base.
Yeah, no.
Defensively,
I'll give David Wright here maybe in 3 years, three more chances at least, or not 3 years, but 3 more chances he can get in. But I think you could still have dominance. I mean, Utley is a big dominance. He, what he has that Wright doesn't have? a ring, right? And I think that's what's going to put a lot of these guys over David Wright, Chase Utley with that ring. Unfortunately, Joe Mauer, who should be, I consider him a first ballot. I think he's going to get skipped this year as well.
Yeah, Mauer.
But
Mauer would be one for sure.
Yeah, so I like Adrian Beltre, who should get in as well, like this year, but he's probably, there's a chance for even him. So I think the rings, because Beltran has a ring, right? It's as well, and these guys contributed pretty big to their rings. Utley with his career year actually in 08 with that ring there with Philly. So look, I get the David Wright thing. I don't think it's happening. I think Utley is going to be your guy. I think Beltran's going to be your guy. And I think Matt Holliday, I think as well as Andrew Jones and Billy Wagner. I really see those guys kind of getting in.
I see what's going on here, you guys. A little bit of y'all heard the word. The word of the week is collusion.
Collusion.
And then also, let me tell you the scary part about going into this season right here. When you're going into this season, when you're talking about 24 and 25, you're talking about Brian McCann, Melky Cabrera.
Yes.
You're talking about Ichiro. You're talking about CeCe Sabathia. You're talking about pretty much. And
it'll be next year
so
for these
funny.
guys.
Ichiro, who else? Done deals. Okay, gotta be right.
Right. So it's like you baseball is so funny though. You only have but so many seasons to get in. Or you pretty much enter a whole nother bracket
for the rest of your life.
So, hey guys, Gary Sheffield, does he make it in? This is his last chance. Does Sheffield make it in? Our guy,
If McGriff gets in, McGriff gets in. I would guess.
Right?
Yeah, like
one-hander.
One-hander. I love that All-Star game, man, where you had McGriff and Sheffield, both for the Padres, man. I forgot what year. I want to say 94. That was a season that, when you talking about those two, you talking about Jeff Bagwell, you talking about so many hitters, man, across the board, man, for that National League squad. Crazy.
It's insane. It's insane. By the way, the fact that Bartolo Colon's even recommended in this list is hilarious. It's hilarious to me. It's like, come on, dude. What are we doing? All right, guys. Moving on. All right. So we're about halfway through here. Let's make this a little bit of a speed round, right? It doesn't have to be too much there or too much thinking, too much discussion here.
But I've been thinking a lot.
Oh, I know it. All right, let's bring it in. Let's make this kind of our speed round here. So we already talked about FIBA. We already talked about the 2024 MLB Hall of Fame ballot list there. Let's the speed round here. So, fantasy football's here, guys. Fantasy football is here, and training camps are going on, and it's one of the best things out there right now. So, obviously, in some leagues, depends what you're on. You're drafting a lot of. You'll see quarterbacks go quick. In this year's draft, right? Outside of JJ and maybe Christian McCaffrey, maybe Jamar Chase, Travis Kelce, kind of towards that back end of the top 4 that you would draft. You got a bunch of quarterbacks on. Let's just say the top 10 quarterbacks are off the board, okay? And you're sitting in around 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 right now, and you need yourself a quarterback, right? You're establishing receiver and running backs. Maybe not tight end, but you're not worried about that position at the moment. What quarterbacks outside of the top 10 are we looking at to go to draft, essentially, to win our fantasy league championship? Whit, start with it, baby. Good answers only. Lonnie froze.
Well, Jay, you gonna go? I love to throw.
Go ahead, Whit. No, go ahead, Whit. I want you to go first, dude.
I can't tell you what I'm thinking. All right, but no, for real. Okay, so on the top of the list, let's think real fast. Okay, Justin Herbert gone. Jackson gone. Who else can be gone? Mahomes definitely out of there. No question. Mahomes not
getting a point for every person he named.
I'm trying to see how impressed he is.
I'm just saying. So
he's got 3 points to give me, and that was the 3 guys.
Do you go with? Yeah, but is that right? So who do you go with when you run out of that top tier level of what you think? who's going to be doing you the favor in the NFL.
I'm looking for
in
three
your
guys.
NFL fantasy draft this year.
I'm looking for
Now,
three guys
my
in this
pick,
in my
and
list.
check this out, you guys. Check this out. I got a blanket, right? Because it's a sleeper. You get it? Okay. So this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna go with Derek Carr. Now I know. You're going. Wait a minute. Derek Carr? He didn't even finish the season with Vegas. Why would you pick him? Did you see him at the NFL Pro Bowl, right? With the quarterback competition? He threw that ball everywhere, no matter where it was, and he looked the camera dead in the eye and said, "Well, they ain't want me no more. I don't know why, but I still got it." Right? Let's look at the stats right here, okay? In 2020, well, as a matter of fact, let's go forward. 22, he got 3,522 yards, 24 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. Go backwards one more. 2021, 4,804 yards, 23 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. Let's go back one more. This is when he finished tied third for the MVP. 2020, 4,000 yards, 4,103 yards, 27 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. QBR ratings going from 101 to 94 to 86. It's getting worse in Vegas, technically. Who was he throwing the ball to? Until he got his homeboy, Devontae Adams out there. But guess what they did? They said, well, it's not working. We're going to have to get you somewhere else. Somehow, some way, I think this is the year to bounce back. When you go to New Orleans with the defense isn't going to let you down. You got to remember, New Orleans defenses always has finished top 10 last 3 years. You want to know why? Because somehow, some way, they got pressure on the quarterback and cornerbacks who actually can hunt the ball. Now, what happens is when you do that, the field reversal epidemic is real. So he is not playing with that long field like he was in Vegas, where he had to find a way to bomb it to Devontae Adams, finally, when he got his homeboy there, right? Nah, he's going to be playing with a shorter field, which plays into what he does best, okay? Now, fantasypro.com projects his completion percentage to be higher. He's going to be doing about 335 per game, which is somewhere around his season average for the last 2 years. He's going to finish around 511 attempts, which is normal for him, and about the top 10 quarterbacks. The passing yardage, we're going to give him right under 4,000. Now, if you're thinking 4,000 in that much, we got to think about the guys who do 4,000 in their sleep. Mahomes, Herbert, Jackson, if he's got weapons, which Jackson's going to have weapons. So he's technically right there in your top 10 range, except for he was playing with characters that were below average as far as wide receivers are concerned. Now, we're going to bring him to New Orleans. We're going to bring him into a whole nother playbook, but we're going to stick him with possibly Michael Thomas. Possibly. We're going to put him with James Washington. Y'all know James Washington came for the Steelers. Y'all know I like
Wait, no.
All right. Chris Olave. Okay. Traquan Smith. And your favorite security blanket, Alvin Kamara. All right. Don't forget, because you know Alvin Kamara is not necessarily going to go up the middle all day, baby. Alvin Kamara going to catch a screenplay. He gonna catch the screen. He gonna place a swing toss, which exactly is gonna do is what that's gonna do is help him in the sense of saying my yards per attempt are gonna go up because Alvin Kamara is gonna move from out of the backfield in the shotgun and go to a slot position receiver on either his left or his right, which they have done for about 45% of the time. Because Alvin, even if it's a decoy, they like to move Alvin Kamara around. So, in my opinion, right now is the time where if you're looking at all these top 10 quarterbacks who you got to get third, fourth, fifth round, these guys are going to be going off the board. You got to catch one. Someone that back end, I need you to look at Derek Carr. For me, I like the idea of really going to somewhere new to open up your eyes and say, look, I'm not bad. It was the situation. He was a John Gruden disciple. You take away John Gruden from him. Now, don't get me wrong. John Gruden got that locker talk in his emails. He's joking. He's clowning. You took his man away from him. John Gruden believed in Derek Carr. Okay? I'm talking about believed in Derek Carr and gave him another chance. You took that away from him. You see the descent in his play. Now, let's put him with another coach that's going to believe in him. You're going to put the ball in his hands, but you're not going to say, hey, guess what? I don't want you to win the games. My defense wins the games. I want you to do the right thing when it comes. Jameis could have won those games, but Jameis had a bad knee, okay? But guess what we got? We got Derek Carr. So my answer for this question is Derek Carr this season, fantasy football, your QB number 2. Look out for him.
Just also a quick fact there on Derek Carr is if you look where he's at now in New Orleans, he's not really allowed to go anywhere cold to go play. And that's usually where he struggles, cold and windy. That he was when he was with the Raiders.
And
now he's in the domes.
Home games are in the dome.
He's in the domes and staying south.
He's in the dome.
He's
there's
set.
no adversity as far as weather for him to play.
I like that pick. I like that pick.
I like Derek Carr. He's inside. What is Vegas when they moved to Vegas, his completion percentage did go up, of course, because it
went up in the home games
to another dome.
It went up in the home games. Outside of that, man, it wasn't good.
But look, who was he throwing to?
He had Darren Waller, Hunter Renfro. Like, dude, no, don't you not put that on the Raiders organization there. They're bad. But Derek Carr was bad too. He was a consistent guy. Anyways, I'm not going to get into a Derek Carr argument
Derek Carr's, let's put it like this. The defense in Oakland put Derek Carr in horrible positions.
Horrendous situations.
He tried to win those games.
Correct.
Several times. He put the ball where it was supposed to be. The plays were either open or not open, but he did what most gunslingers do and try to fit the balls into small holes. And here comes the turnover. It's not his fault. The defense was crappy at least 2 years. Now that 2020 year, that was when, of course, he had a defensive line to do a lot of the stopping, and he played with shorter field advantages. Mm-hmm. And I looked this up myself before I said it. That's why I'm going with Derek Carr.
Okay, I like it.
Because the New Orleans defense is better than the Las Vegas Raiders defense. Oakland Raiders defense, a little better. But the Las Vegas Raiders defense, no, sir. No.
Jay, I need 3 top 10 quarterbacks that he did not say, and then I'll let you get your guy.
Mention.
Yeah.
I mentioned about 5.
Well, you said Herbert, you said Jackson and Mahomes. I'm gonna count those.
Mahomes twice as well.
Yeah,
but he worked saying 2 times. I'm sorry.
So give me 3 more.
He said, of course, Jalen Hurts. Also gonna go with. He did not say Josh Allen.
You did not say Josh Allen.
Which was okay. And then also Mr. Dak Prescott. That's an easy one. I just picked out an easy one.
I have to give it to him. I don't want it, but I'm going to have to give it to you.
He's number like 9. If you look at it,
technically.
I guess before I get into my quarterback, because when we're talking about fantasy quarterbacks, look, I wouldn't consider myself a quarterback whisperer in fantasy leagues, so to say, but I remember 2016, 17, just watching John Gruden's interview with a young Patrick Mahomes in the film room. I was pretty much saying to myself, like, if he just compared this dude to Brett Favre, on a bad day where he's out here throwing numbskull passes, or basically like what John Gruden was saying in his little film study with the quarterback room or whatever he used to do. I knew at that point that I was gonna get Pat Mahomes, and I drafted him. I drafted him in the late rounds, very late rounds. So I picked him up. Matter of fact, I picked him up on the waiver wire late in the season, early in the season or something like that, because I knew at least in my fantasy championship, I was going to be able to start Patrick Mahomes. But guess what happened? Some guy named Alex Smith, never heard of him. He went out there and he had like the best season of his life, and he never got in. So I basically put Pat Mahomes on my roster for nothing.
So you didn't play week 17 then, or 16, whatever it was.
He didn't play. Mahomes did not play that season.
He played the final game, his rookie season against the Broncos. He came in, he took the lead in the fourth quarter. They took him out for Tyler Bray. Tyler Bray ended up giving 4 touchdowns away to the Broncos, tied the game up, and he had to come back in the final 2 minutes and win that game against the Broncos. That was his rookie year of the final game.
The season was over.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. You didn't play the final game.
You know what? I remember that now because I remember watching the game and was like, are you freaking kidding me, man? Yeah. I told you. I was telling everybody. Anyway, so when we go into these quarterbacks, because I was going to make my point pretty quick other than that. Same thing with Jalen Hurts, same thing with Justin Fields. Justin Fields still is in a work in that progress where I had him last season. He came up with some big numbers. And then, he's not in the top 10, but the guy that I'm going to go with, and I'll have like 5 quarterbacks on my squad, 3, 4, 5 quarterbacks, because I go for the skill position mainly. And also, I'm not, disclaimer, I'm throwing this in the middle. You're not going to get this answer from me. See, Whit wrote, I'm going to tell you the truth. Whit gave me this question, and I was like, nah, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm sorry. So that's why I'm throwing this out here in the form that I'm throwing it. But I would say, based on stats, based on what he put forth last season, with only 13 games, he only played in 13 games the season before. And he want to say he was like 900 yards less. No. Tua time. I think it's going to be Tua time. He's going to be one of my quarterbacks that I'm going to utilize in one of my fantasy teams. And even before that, he got off the field and he went through injuries for, the concussions and everything else. We was talking about 3,000, almost 4,000 yards in 13 games, right? We're talking about 25 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. To say that he went through what he went through, 8 interceptions is a pretty good number. I'm saying, let us get bashed around a good bit in our brains and see, let us look at some coverages and look at these wide receivers running across and say we're going to hit the open man. Yeah, right. So, like I said, 25 to 8, that's a great number. Like I said, the yards, going from the season before, he put up like almost 3,000 yards with the same amount of games. So can you imagine Tua going through a whole 14, 15, 16 week season, fully healthy? We're going to say health is definitely big with this. So, we're playing a whole 17 games. I would say Tua, the numbers that we were putting, I was looking at Tua throwing up in my leagues, which are pretty generous to the quarterback, some not so much, like 58 points, 50-something points, like almost every other week, when he was healthy in the beginning of the season, before the concussion.
Who had Tua in our league, Jay?
2 quarterbacks?
No, I said who had Tua? Who had Tua?
Oh, who had Tua? Not sure who had Tua, but I don't think it mattered, whoever that person was.
I think it was like Freeport or something like that. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, but Tua, if you put the right roster line, like I said, you put the right roster with them, I think you can take Tua. I could take a lot of quarterbacks in it. If Will Levis plays this season, depends on what goes on. I think he has enough weapons and the running game to be a solid fantasy quarterback if he played this season. If he got a chance playing majority of the games, I think Will Levis would be a great option fantasy wise, especially when you're streaming. So, like I said, that's my answer, and I'm sticking with it.
I appreciate that. I mean, if I look at the top 10 here, but this is not any certain order. Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, Rodgers, Hurts, Dak, Herbert, Jackson, Watson, and Lawrence would be my top 10. Guys, I'm looking else outwards, right? Looking later on, Kirk Cousins is a name right away. Jared Goff, Justin Fields right away as well. And one guy that you can get pretty late, actually, at least in the 3 drafts I've done already in my best balls, Kenny Pickett. look for that Pickens connection because I'm loving what I'm seeing there. So
Kenny Pickett,
just throwing some guys out there. Russell Wilson's of course out there too because I feel like he's going to bounce back here with Sean Payton. Plenty of stuff to come through for your opportunity in fantasy football late in the round. In case you don't get one of those big guys, sometimes they're not around. That's what happens. All right, computer, you don't work or what? There we go.
Especially when you're messing with Jay, man. Them boys is gone. They ain't on the board no more.
At 5 quarterbacks? Of course not. Oh, man, that's insane. All right, guys, one more major topic here, then we'll get into our bonus round here. So with both NBA conferences, think about this in the playoffs. All right, we just got done with the playoffs. We just got done with the championship of NBA. Which non-playoff team is set to make a playoff appearance this year based off of some stuff they did in the offseason, stuff they did in the draft, maybe a coaching move that helped. I don't know, in that range. Obviously, first team for me, I'm just going to throw my first team out real quick here. It's the Thunder because they were right on the border anyways of really making that push and getting in there.
That's a good one.
As a seed. I think the Thunder, with Chet coming back as well, I mean, I think that just puts them over. So for me, it's the Thunder there, just based off their drafts, based off their offseason moves, and also Mr. Holmgren coming back and looking a little thicker, a little better than what we saw, go to rookie year. So
right?
I liked what I saw. I'm like that's the body type I want to see more there. So that's what I see.
And listen, and since you're the host, I can agree with you. I watched a couple of those summer league games. His lateral movement is way different from what it was when he was in college. Because of course he was a really big body, really slender, and he could move. But I'm talking about he was attacking.
He was staying in front of
players coming into the paint.
Yeah.
In the summer league, he looked like a totally different person, and maybe that comes from kind of getting that Joel Embiid treatment.
Yeah,
that where you get that whole year just to kind of kick the Blake Griffin, Joel Embiid treatment. Get a whole year just to kick it and go to practice. I think it's going to pay off for the Thunder and OKC. But go ahead, bro. Go get to the question. Yes, sir.
Jay, give me it. Give me the playoff team or the non-playoff team to make an appearance. And you can say somebody that's maybe in the final 2 seeds of the play-in tournament, but I'm only looking at who's going to get that final seed that's outside the play-in tournament.
I definitely agree a lot with you saying the Thunder for obvious reasons. I think with Holmgren coming back, and just like I said, with Gilgeous-Alexander coming off of hopefully a healthy, prosperous FIBA off season of playing internationally. I think he's also going to get off to a good start with his team. So when you talk about teams that were bumped out of the playoffs, I'm thinking about teams like when you're talking about health, and you got to say health first because it's like a disclaimer.
Mm-hmm.
Health-wise, I would say the Pelicans. When you're looking at a lot of teams on the outside looking in, you would say, with Zion missing 45 games and with Brandon Ingram, like I said, he missed like 64 games in the last 2 seasons. They were 42 and 40. You know what I mean? And I would definitely say, with the hamstring and everything going on, I want the Pelicans with their improvement. I want to jump out there so much and say that the Rockets are going to be so much improved.
Oh, they will. They already are.
Ibaka beat
they haven't even played.
Yeah, with the coaching staff, with the fact that with their draft, with them getting probably the most underrated person in the draft, which is Gilmore. You will want to. I want to say their defense, man. It's about defense. I think their defense, yes, with them getting, sorry with them, taking your coach Udoka and he doesn't deserve even having a job because he cheated on Nia Long. And what kind of fucking idiot, you know? Sorry. We were talking about teams making the playoffs. I'm sorry. So the Pelicans, it's the Pelicans. I'm sorry, I blacked out for some
You
reason.
had to bring up Neil
So
Long, right?
It's got him all
right.
confused again.
You get
So
5 points for Neil Long, man. I done lost already. Goddamn.
but definitely, the Pelicans. Like I say, the Rockets, man, they were like 29th
Yeah.
in defensive efficiency, man, and there's no way that you can go out there and you can have the most talent that you want, and you sit there and you can get draft picks on top of draft picks, and you can get all of the free agents, and them having Jeff Green as a vet. They're definitely trying to increase, get a better locker room presence and have more of accountability for the type of
And they got
defense they've been
they got the
playing.
bad guy. Don't
Like I
forget the
said,
bad guy.
yeah, it's Dylan Brooks, which
Mhm.
which Udoka, which we're hearing a lot that Udoka actually is really prized at actually getting Dylan Brooks in the offseason free agency. He actually went after Dylan Brooks. Like that was
Mm.
somebody he had to have. So if you have a vision, go with it. Hopefully this vision at least gets you about 12 more spots or so higher in the defensive efficiency, because you're not beating anybody. And let's say quickly this, all the divisions in the NBA, the Southwest Division is going to be highly improved from last
It will
season,
be.
especially if the Pelicans are healthy, because that the Thunder are going to bring it every night. There's going to be some young, hungry fellas off of what they could have had going last season. And then you got the Spurs, who, still in the works. I think they're going to add some more, probably a vet or two,
Hmm.
on top of what they have. But uh, I wanted to mention, even though it was another topic, um, I'm thinking about y'all help me out. From Phoenix, just went to
Beal.
Brooklyn, just got traded to Brooklyn.
Bridges.
Bridges,
Bridges,
Mikal Bridges.
Mikal
Yeah.
Bridges.
Yeah.
He's also in the FIBA. He's also in the FIBA.
He is.
And what I'm saying with the Nets, possibly, but also that is another player. With him, he had a delicate situation because he's going to the Nets this season with him being in the FIBA. And he's just about the only guy out there that he's going to, him and Cam Johnson and, whoever else they bring along. But, as far as progression, as far as scoring, it's going to be his show out there. So, but as far as the team, like I said, with the East, it could have been a lot of teams to go in. I'm looking at Detroit to make some strides, but the team that I was expect to be in the playoffs next season, especially if they've been healthy majority of the season, would be the Pelicans. And the Thunder is right there neck and neck. But
Yes.
but like I said, the Thunder is more on, I would say, more on talent. The Pelicans is on money and draft picks and pretty much hopes and dreams of a lot of stuff put in what they would hope again to make the playoffs.
Yeah. Wit.
Okay, man. Jay covered a lot of ground, man, and I'm gonna try to stay in one vein with this one because it's kind of near and dear to my heart. Everybody knows what this is, right? It's a pacifier. You know what I'm saying? And a pacifier is something that you get when you're young and you're a baby, and you go, "Hey, I need this," and then eventually you find out I really don't need it. Kind of goes into place of like the land of misfit toys. And right now, to me, the land of misfit toys is Detroit, Michigan. Right? The Pistons. I'm sorry, that's what happens. But you know who loves misfit toys? A father. Father with kids, and he goes, "Hey man, you remember you used to play with this? You used to love this. Ooh, you used to play with this all the time." You know who they got to be their coach? They got Monty Williams, man, a father figure for a lot of those kids out there in Detroit right now. And you know what they did? Since he's such a good dad, since he's such a positive role model for African American youth. They paid him the most money ever. All right. He got 6 years, $78.5 million. He can get up to $100 million with incentives. Now, a lot of times
That's because they're gonna be
people
terrible.
are going to
But go
go,
ahead.
well, the players. Yeah. But the point is, the players are going to have to win the games. But if you got the same good parental figure around these young band of misfit toys, right? We're going to grow together. I'm going to stay here. I'm going to be with you. I'm going to support you. I'm going to show you how to win. I know how to win because Monty Williams is a winner. I'm going to show you how it's going to be done. So you know what he's going to do? He's going to take Cade Cunningham. Okay, he's going to say, "Come over here, Cade. Be my guy. You gonna be my guy." He's going to say, "Hey, Jade Ivy, your mama used to work with John Morant. Look at John Morant. Don't be like John Morant." Okay, he's a great player, but we want you to be better. We want you to go into Detroit. I'm gonna show you some real thug stuff. We're gonna take you to Flint, Michigan, okay, where there ain't no water and they struggling, okay. And I want you to be a good example for the kids out there. And you know what? That's going to change Jaden Ivey. Then let's think about somebody else. Who was a high draft pick that all of a sudden everybody was going, man, that'd be great if the team plays with him and they win a bunch of games and they're shooting threes and the power forward could mentor him and show him how to play defense. They got rid of James Wiseman and they sent James Wiseman to Detroit, right? You thought Draymond Green was going to be his coolest uncle? Nope. Okay. They got rid of James Wiseman, sent him to Detroit. And somewhere in there, Isaiah Stewart arises as a young power forward, stretching the floor and playing defense at the same time when nobody thought that was going to happen. They go out here, they get a Seward Thomas. Seward Thomas been playing with grown men on the streets of Atlanta. Jay like Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? Seward Thomas been playing in Atlanta and figuring out how to, navigate the streets and whatnot, which kind of wings to get when he goes to Magic City. You know what I'm saying? But now he's in Detroit trying to figure out how to do everything else. And then look, here goes some more misfit toys. They got Marvin Bagley. Marvin Bagley couldn't even light the beam. They got him out of Sacramento. Okay, y'all forgot about Marvin Bagley? They sent him to Detroit. Who else is in Detroit? Bogdan Bogdanovic. Huh? You think he's a bad shooter? No. Great shooter. And somebody that's probably going to be on one of those Australian national teams. Probably not the FIBA team because he's not that young. But when the Olympics roll around, promise Bogdan's going to be there. I'm telling you, in my mind right now, if they can get it together, stay healthy, the Detroit Pistons have a team in which they can use their youth and their athleticism. And if they learn from Monty Williams how to be a cohesive defensive unit, that was their problem. All of these kids right now, and Jay having an eye on the EYBL and all these AAU teams, he knows these kids can score points. It ain't about them scoring points in the NBA when they get to the league and they're playing grown men. It's about playing cohesive team defense, not just one person locking down. You can be slack or slack off a little bit, but when it comes to winning on especially in the Eastern Conference, which right now the Eastern Conference has top tier wing players. The majority of the top 10 wing players are in the East. We can name several of them. And we got a couple of them like, Blanquero coming out of Orlando. Who would have thought? Listen, Jay, you my dog, man. Where did Pablo Blanquero go to school?
Who knows, man? I heard this.
I know you don't want to say it, but I never thought Pablo Blanquero coming out of Duke would be that skilled of a player. All right. I never thought that coming out of where he went to school at, that he would be where he is today, playing the 3/4. Come on. Then, of course, you got the players like the Celtics who just gave Jaylen Brown the biggest bag ever. Jason Tatum out there doing it. You got guys like in New York where you got the tent, you know what I'm saying? They basically got Villanova, New York right now going on in New York City for the Knicks. Like the idea is let's create a cohesive unit. And these young kids were given up on. I don't know if you've ever been given up on, Tanner. I don't know if you've ever been given up on, Jay, but they are tired of it. I promise you. And they said, look, man, we are all here. You was a top 5 pick. You was a top 5 pick. You was a top 5 pick. And so was you. And now look at us. They thought we wasn't gonna be nothing. We're gonna make it happen here. And we got our surrogate father, aka Monty Williams, walking behind us. He's gonna make sure he's gonna develop us. 6 years, man, year 3, year 4, year 5. Watch how we're talking about the Detroit Pistons coming back into prominence in the NBA in Eastern Conference period, in the NBA period, not just the Eastern Conference. I give it about 3 years because I'm talking about Wiseman, Bagley, Ivy. These kids were outstanding before they got into the league. And if you get that development, that cohesiveness, man, those old Piston teams, nobody wanted them neither. Yeah, they wanted Isaiah Thomas, but they didn't want to hang with Isaiah. Who wanted to hang with Isaiah? Magic Johnson wanted to hang with Isaiah Thomas. Nobody wanted Dennis Rodman, right? Huh? Rick Mahorn? Nobody wanted Rick Mahorn. This is similar. This is a very similar build that they're doing right now, where they're getting kids who are good, but are either problem children or have issues in development, right? And in my mind, and I do a lot of research sometimes, I do a lot of Googling, the development part is where other teams gave up on these kids, man. Bagley? Come on. Wiseman? Huh? I mean, why else? Why else would you have moved those guys? Top 5 picks, man. Because they gave up on the development.
They didn't give up. They replaced them with better players. You're talking about the dang Kings. You can't compete with the Kings.
Joel Embiid got to practice 4 years, man.
Do you know how bad the Kings were?
Blake Griffin got to kick it in LA for 2 years. They gave up.
It wasn't giving up on, man.
Now league.
You couldn't win with bad teams, and now you're going to try to win with a worse team,
league, right?
Come on.
Okay, check this out. If your answer is this, and I'm going to take your answer and use it against you, Tanner, because you my dog, right? The Clippers gave up on SGA. They gave up on him, and they sent him to Oklahoma City, and look at what he's doing right now.
Yeah. No, they didn't give up on him.
They let him move.
They didn't give up on him. They couldn't afford. They couldn't afford what they had going on, and he was a casualty of what they were trying to put out there. It was Paul George and Kawhi Leonard.
Wasn't that the same year?
And he had to go.
Like 4 bad knees, bro. 4 bad knees.
There was no way they're going to be able to afford him. Man.
There was no way that they knew that everybody's ACLs weren't going to work at the same time.
Well, look where they are now.
Kept SGA, but they gave up on him. So they gave up on Bagley. They gave up on Wiseman. Wiseman was in the NBDL.
Bagley is not giving up on, dude.
Wiseman was in the NBDL killing YouTube. The YouTube highlights, because the NBDL was being showed on YouTube, and I watched it. He was in there just going out of his mind. Like, why am I here? But because of his developmental issues, shout out to Penny Hardaway in Memphis. The thing that they tried to do in Golden State was put him with Draymond Green. Everybody know Draymond Green offensive. You know what I'm saying? Everybody know that. You can't hang with your angry uncle every day because you're gonna want to pipe. You gonna want to punch him, a la Jordan Poole. You know what I'm saying? I got an uncle I love right now, but I can't hang with him and drink with him every day because I'm gonna end up hitting him one day. I'm big enough now where I can punch him. You know what I'm saying? And straight up. Guess what happened with Jordan Poole? Punched his uncle. Favorite uncle, too, probably.
So you're saying did they give up on him?
I'm out.
Yeah, did they give up on Poole?
No, Jordan. It wasn't going to work with Jordan Poole. It wasn't going to work. They would love to have kept Poole, but the point is it wasn't going to work. And they're not going to get rid of Draymond Green out of respect. Out of respect, they were not going to get rid of Draymond Green.
All right.
Yeah, but
all right.
But hey, wait. And just to cap it off, because y'all brought it up, watch these Wizards.
No.
Watch these Wizards on that bottom 9, 8, 7 in the East. Watch those Wizards.
So they'll be close to that final spot of the play-in tournament, but I think Jordan Poole is now your new Beal Arenas kind of player for the Wizards. That's your new 5-year guy, 6-year guy that you're gonna have
Yeah,
in Washington.
he's definitely more arenas. He ain't passing that ball.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, true. All right, let's move on. Final round, bonus round. This is 5 points worth. And these guys don't even know what their points are. It's the best part. 5 points worth. And you guys have 1 minute. 1 minute. I got a timer. When you hear this sound, that means it's done with. All right. You're done. Okay. Wrap it up. So, all right. Gosh, this is so good. 2 franchises sold in the sports world this past week, right? Charlotte Hornets, MJ sold his team. The Commanders.
Now I don't know what you're going to say yet.
Commanders sold their team, all right? And it's, I don't know, it's kind of crazy that we're getting so many sold franchises. Denver sold their franchise earlier. I think Phoenix as well, and some other ones. Like it's crazy this last year worth of just sold sports organizations here, and of course, big money, right? Because you essentially bought cheap and you're selling monsters. So, guys, I want to know. What sports team would you sell today, and is there somebody that you would want to sell that to? That's what you're convincing me is what franchise needs to sell to who, and you know what? I'm going to throw in a third deal here too. Where do they go? Do they stay put or do they move? That's what I want to know here. Yeah. So, all right.
Oh man, I didn't think of that one.
Whit, you got 1 minute on the clock. When you hear my bell, you start. You ready?
Hold on. Wait a minute before you ring that bell. Y'all ever seen Over the Top with Sylvester Stallone? He's doing arm wrestling.
Oh yeah.
Of course.
Right. Go. You want to ring a bell? Ring a bell.
All right, here we go. Ready?
All right. So this is what we got. So we're gonna go with somebody out the way. Nobody. I bet y'all didn't think of it. We're gonna go with the Seattle Storm. Right. Seattle Storm won 4 championships. 04, 2010, 2018, 2020. They're on the way for the first overall pick in the WNBA because right now they're 4-19. Seattle is awesome though, but we know them for what? Starbucks, grunge music, the Seattle Supersonics. They ain't there no more. The greatest national treasure in Seattle is Nirvana. R.I.P. to Kurt Cobain. So guess what we're going to do? Since then, the Sonics have retired Sue Bird. Sue Bird is first in assists, minutes played, and all-star appearances in the WNBA. Breanna Stewart left. She went to New York to play with the Liberty. She's doing awesome. So right now what we're going to do is we're going to have Magic Johnson and anybody else by the Seattle Storm, okay? And we're going to move them to where? To the Carolinas. Ooh, you want to know why? Because right now USC is on top of women's basketball, and when they move to the Carolinas, they're going to pay Dawn Staley to be their coach.
Interesting.
Ooh.
I think we lost him a little bit. There we go. There he is. Coming back. All right. That was interesting. Carolina with the Storm, Magic Johnson and crew. That's interesting. That's interesting.
Carolina Storm, man. I think it sounds good.
All right, Jay.
All right.
You ready?
So
you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. Yep.
All right. So, and how about this? And it's 2 quick answers. I'm gonna give my dream answer, which is in respect to. I'm sorry, man. In respect to the hip hop 50 years, I want to sell the New York Knicks to the Wu-Tang Clan. I'm saying, like, first of all, I'm thinking of this is the reason why I got 2. Look, Dolan has to go. I'm pretty sure Spike Lee would be highly in favor of the Knicks going to the Wu. So, hey, like, why not the Knicks to the Wu-Tang Clan? Keep them. Why not? Move them to Shaolin. Move them to Staten Island. Move them anywhere. But they can stay in the Garden. I'm cool with that. They can stay in the Garden, man, because, we can keep it like that. They can stay in Manhattan. That's fine. But seriously, with my Commanders being sold recently, I hope people understand that. Oh man!
Finish your Commanders, real quick.
Okay, I hope people understand that Dan Snyder now is a very dangerous man. Not only does he have a 23-page report on him, that he's gonna go get in a lot of trouble for. But a lot of these owners,
Ooh.
especially Mr. Jim Irsay,
Ooh.
for trying to call him out and say, "Hey,
I thought you was
man,
gonna
we
say
need to."
what's my man yeah.
It's the Colts, man. I want the Colts to be sold, man. I can care less who they go to, but telling you, for a lot of these owners who were mums the word since the whole process came out, and Mr. Irsay wanted to put himself out there and say, "Hey, nah, we're gonna do this. We're gonna need to attack him. We need to do this." Man, I feel sorry for some of these owners with this guy not being in the NFL anymore, and him taking the Nino Brown approach and saying this is bigger than Dan Snyder, man, and I'm bringing everybody down with me, and basically that's who I would want to, honestly speaking and seriously speaking. I hate Jim Irsay as an owner. I feel like he has been a bit, they have been a bit lenient towards
Jeff
him.
Saturday loves Jim Irsay.
No, of course he
They've
does.
been a bit lenient towards him, but that's I think he needs to get rid of that team, man. But let's just see what happens with this reports. Let's just see what happens. What other coaches get, what other owners get kind of wrapped up into this, and buckle up,
Right.
buckle up, because it's coming.
It's interesting to see too, like some of these older owners, and the dirt that could be on them right now. So Jerry Jones being one as well, which is who knows what with that one. So, but interesting, right? So we have.
And look, I was just about to
Yeah.
say he's gonna be like, remember that time we was at your house, Jerry? Remember that time?
I got the picture still.
Right.
All right, so we got Whit over here talking about the WNBA, the Seattle Storm moving over to be Carolina Storm, Magic Johnson and crew buying that. Jay over here, basically selling the New York Knicks to Wu-Tang, basically anything out of Dolan's hand, and hopefully fix that franchise a little bit. Look, I think I actually agree with that more. I'm going with the New York Knicks and Wu-Tang Clan because anything's better than Dolan right now. You banned your Hall of Fame player, your guy that carried you through the 90s, and because you can't figure out how to get your security right, your staff right. Like, get out of here, dude. Like, anybody's better than him at this moment, outside of Snyder, of course. So give me the points over here to Jay. So congratulations, by the way. Jay wins today 40-30. So, hey, guys, that was phenomenal. That was great points. I mean, it was a high scoring one today.
We want recount.
You said the Detroit freaking Pistons. You said, there was something else. You said David whatever to a freaking Hall of Fame. Like, come on, man.
David Wright.
We get a
listen. I was trying to be original, baby. You know what I'm saying?
I love it. All right, Jay, you got. I'm not going to blow up the screen here, just so you know, but we'll get you going here, and you got 1 minute. Get your speech out of the way here. Go.
Oh man. First, I like to thank you, Whit, for being my opponent. My first win, man. I appreciate you, Tanner, man. I appreciate everything that you put into this, and me just being able to just show out my energy, man, and just talk about sports, man. But seriously, I kind of went into it early, man, and it's like these owners better look out. They better look out, man. Dan Snyder, this 23-page report, I don't understand. Like, this is kind of like criminal, some of the things that he's done. Not kind of. I mean, 2 books, 2 sets of books, the notorious 2 sets of books. Him having a give back $60 million, and that's one Dan Snyder. But again, man, this is a dangerous man now. This is a man who could put out his own report and pretty much get it to anybody. And he's the one that even led to had a piece, or he was a part of a little bit in what John Gruden did. So, like just a dangerous guy. Look out.
I agree there. It'll be interesting to see. Guys, that was a fantastic episode 2 here of Hear Me Out. as we go about it here. Only better things to come here of this. Jay as our winner today. By the way, Jay almost won last week in that bonus round. Got with that victory. Got in Jay's head. Couldn't get in Jay's head today. Jay was ready. So, guys, fabulous job. Everybody out there, please make sure you like, subscribe, and follow. Hit that bell because, we'll be dropping videos weekly. So be ready for it because it's going to be a blast here as we go about the hot topics, especially entering the NFL season. Beginning of the NBA season's coming up here in a couple months. And then you also got college basketball, college football. We got as well the MLB playoffs coming into play. There's tons of stuff coming in. We are done with the dead period. Hallelujah. Let's get this thing going. So everybody have a fabulous week. We'll talk to you next week. We'll see you guys.
Hey, don't forget, you can put your answers to our questions in the comment section and we will read them. Don't forget, if you don't like our answers, tell us what you think. That's what we like to hear right here on Hear Me Out. See you next week. Thumbs up.